so much can be said when we find like the moments of stillness. Like it doesn't have to be go, 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 go. And so like the light and the dark, like the sharp and the soft. And I try to plug that into my movement quality. The dancers I enjoy watching the most, it looks like the music is coming from them.
Beyond the mirror, reflections of lives beyond the glass.
Right. My name is Nicole.
Your name is Nicole?
My name's Nicole, and I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Well, technically Lakeville, which is like a suburb 30 minutes south of the Twin Cities, but it's easier to just tell everyone Minneapolis. I started dancing when I was 4 years old.
4 years?
Yeah, and I'm 27 now, about to turn 28, so I've been doing this a minute.
Yes. What, 24 years?
I'm not going to do the math. But
24. How did you find dance?
My mom had signed my older sister Renee up for like a dance class, and she would bring me along, and I would stand on a chair and look through the window at her and bawl my eyes out because I was like, I want to be in there. But there was an age requirement and I was too little. And so I remember my mom signing me up for like a different, she told me it was a dance class, but it was like in a gymnasium. And I was like, Mom, this isn't real. Where are the mirrors? Like I knew what was wrong and right. And I was like, this isn't right.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. So the second I was old enough, they put me in there. And it was this like combined tap ballet intro thing. And I could care less about
the tap.
I couldn't have cared less. Yeah. About the tap side of it. I was like, ballet. And then they even had me like skip because there was like level 2 creative dance, and they put me right into ballet 1. And I was like, this is it. This is for me.
Pretty interesting that you like knew.
Weirdly drawn to it.
Did your sister still dance?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
No.
What did she do?
My older sister works for Federated Insurance. She and her soon-to-be husband live in Owatonna, but she's like a really good writer.
Oh.
Yeah, really good writer, like really good artist as well. Yeah.
I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that because I feel like your full family has the artistry.
Kind of, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that, because you were kind of telling me like a long time ago how your family, like your sister is a photographer too.
Yeah. Totally. My mom was pretty artistic as well, and she worked in an art store and everything, and she even got into jewelry making, like beading. And then my older sister, like, she could be a tattoo artist, and she's covered in tattoos as well, but she has a really distinct, like, geometric style to it, kind of like henna design.
Okay.
But she's really good with like pen and markers, which is totally the opposite of what I do. Yeah, and then my little sister, we always joke about her because we didn't know. We were like, oh, everyone's really artistic, like, except Caitlin. And then later, Caitlin like picked up a camera and was really good with it. And she does wedding photography. Like last summer, the summer before, she was like every weekend like photographing weddings. Wow. And she's also like a people person, and you have to be to photograph stuff like that.
You need to be.
Yeah. But yeah, even I think it was my grandma's dad was a painter. I believe. Maybe it was her uncle. I can't remember. But yeah, it's in the family.
It is in the family.
Yeah.
It's also kind of funny that all of you guys kind of like paint.
Yeah, well, except Caitlin.
I love how you're like,
yeah.
Well, in some sort, she kind of can paint with the camera, you know?
Totally, yeah.
How did you find that painting?
Oh my gosh, I was pretty much born with like a crayon in my hand, and so I was always like, it didn't really matter what the medium was growing up. It was just really cool for me to like use my hands and like create something. Because I feel like I dabbled with, like colored pencil, marker, acrylic, and I didn't actually get into watercolors until, it's actually like kind of sad. I had a friend pass away, and he was really good with watercolor. like just unbelievable. And it was always something I shied away from because it's a hard balance to get the right amount of paint with the water, and it's just there's a lot of room to go wrong. And so I kind of picked that up with him in mind, and then like nothing had felt more natural to run with. And I think that was like a little bit after high school, a couple years.
Well, you were still doing ballet.
Oh, yeah. All of it overlapping. Yeah. So the painting, really ran with that. And then I started, people would ask me to do like custom like cards for them. Like I think I've done like wedding invitations, birthday invitations. And then the most popular request I get is like pet portraits.
Pet portrait?
Everybody wants a portrait of their pet, whether it's for a gift or for themselves. And it's like kind of what I hate doing the most.
I bet.
Painting fur is really
It's so hard. I was going to say, how you do it.
It's so much trial and error. And every time I started, I was like, this isn't going to look like their dog at all. And then like towards the end, like it does, and they're happy. And I'm like, okay, because like I can keep going if you're not happy.
If you don't feel like this is your dog.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard. I mean, I love this Ink Master. I don't know if you have ever seen the show.
Yes, I have.
Where they have to do all of those little challenges. I feel like that's the most interesting.
Yeah.
Because they have to do something so weird, like, okay, now you paint a tattoo that you're gonna do in watercolor or something. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe that these guys who is gonna ink you are such a good artist. But that actually makes it more important.
It's incredible.
Also, you guys can see the video behind me. I have the cover art of the podcast.
The original.
And it was created by yours truly,
me,
Nicole. What were you thinking when I first asked you about it?
I was thinking, you said you wanted like the hand in it, and immediately I was like, I don't really draw or paint people. Like I avoid that.
Why?
Quite a bit. I don't know, because people know what people look like. You know, it's like kind of right or wrong unless you're going, more abstract with it. And so I was like, okay, but like if I can paint a poodle, I can draw a hand. But it was hard. But then it was funny. After I did this, then I got really into it. Like something about like the delicacy of like fingers. Like your fingers are so delicate and proportioned so carefully that when I was done with this, I actually like stuck with it and I got kind of into it more. But yeah, when you asked me, I was honored because I feel like I barely knew you at the time, but like, you knew art was something that I was into.
Oh, I saw you drawing or something. I think I saw something that you did, and I
think
was
it was like we were doing notes, and I was like, "This isn't for me," and I was like drawing.
She knows what she's doing. Like, let's do this. The other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about is how do you incorporate your painting into dancing? Because I feel like just by seeing the way you were thinking about how the hand has to be shaped or how the hand has to be positioned, it's something that I really see in you while you dance.
Interesting.
Like, it's how can I say this? You don't position your hand just to position it there. I feel like you have a purpose to that, and I wanted to see like maybe the painting has something to do with how you see it.
I feel like they are closely related in terms of what sounds so cheesy, but it's like what I can't say out loud, and so, both painting and dancing are so expressive. And I think, I can only do so much with my body, and whatever is in my brain, I just like want to get it out, on paper. And so I think they're closely related in a way. Like the fluidity of it a little bit, like because watercolors are so
fluid,
and I feel like my movement style especially is like similar.
Fluid,
I
for sure.
think when I started getting into watercolors, I was really into painting jellyfish, and that's hard because there's transparency,
the full structure.
It's like almost so fluid. It's hard to like know when it's done. But I think like my movement quality compares a lot like with a jellyfish.
I like it. No, I can totally see that. where were you dancing before? Like, because I feel like your movement is very, as you say, like a jellyfish, but also not fully like ballet structure. I don't know if that makes sense, because it's, I don't know, like, what do you love more? Ballet or like the fluidity of the movement? I don't know if I'm saying
like
that right.
Like ballet or the fluidity?
Because, you know, like, I don't know how to say it, because in ballet, like, you know, like you have to be very structured. And again, you can have those moments of like softness and things. But I feel like modern and all this type of dance, like, are more in conjunction with what you do. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think beyond like categorizing it, I think I am always trying to be so mindful of plugging artistry into just like the structure of ballet.
I think I like that better than what I say.
Because I do know what you're saying. Like, I am more of a contemporary ballet dancer. Like, that feels like it comes more natural to me. But like, even when I'm doing like strictly ballet, I think it still shows because I'm always trying to put something into it.
Yeah. I think my question was wrong.
Okay.
What I'm trying to find is, how did you find your movement?
How do I find my movement?
Like, you know, no, they, okay, tell me the secret of how you find who you are. No, just like, I want to see, when do you start feeling like this was what you relate to?
I feel like I could be better at answering like how I find my movement, that question.
It's so good.
I think I'm always, the musicality, I think, is a huge part of it. Like, you could be the greatest dancer ever, but if you aren't paying attention to what the music is saying, like, it's just not there. So being intuitive to what I am hearing, because I think the dancers I enjoy watching the most, it looks like the music is coming from them.
Okay.
So I try to be musical. I also, like, even in class, like going across the floor, I try to choose moments where I'm like, I really want to sustain like this part, or like I'm not just given the exercise to just do it. I try to find the moments where I know I could push or pull more. And I think that kind of encapsulate my dancing in a nutshell a little bit. I'm always looking for like the light and the dark, like the sharp and the soft, and I try to plug that into my movement quality.
I really like it. I really can see that, and also relates a lot to the painting.
Yeah, it is kind of all tied together.
No, I really like it. I feel like it combines both of them. I mean, I can see that in your work as a painter and your work as a dancer.
Interesting. You're making me realize some stuff.
No, it's good. This is what it makes me realize so many things, and this is what I love to do this. Like, in some of the guests, you are like, wow, I never thought of it that way, and you're like, I'm gonna incorporate it into me.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's what we want, and that's what I want to everybody to get away from it. Because we are all so different, but at the same time, do simple thing can change your life. So I really like it. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
The other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about was choreography. How do you see choreography? Like, for example, when somebody gives you this set of 8, do you also think about like that second, like, can I pull this out here? Can I change the here?
Absolutely.
Yes. Is that first thing that comes into your mind?
I think, kind of tracing back to what I kind of said originally, is like, what is the music telling me? Like, what is the mood here? Because I feel like I could run with your question in a multitude of ways, because if there's no like structure to like, this is who you are and this is who you're trying to be, then I think like music is really driving it. Okay. But if it's in a scenario where I am meant to be
the stepsister,
like portraying someone, what movements reflect what I'm trying to say? Like, you can't just plug any step in and be that character. Like, you can, but is it effective? So trying to mesh all of those things together to really embody like what you're trying to be.
For you, when you are creating a choreography, what it draws to you? Like, how did you find inspiration? What will be the first step?
Well, That's an interesting question, and I feel like I have different answers based off of like I guess for like example for Hungarian in Robin Hood, like it was going to be everybody, and so immediately I knew there had to be unity. Like we couldn't just go off on our own and like all do our own thing, because I feel like there's a time and a place for that. And like the way the music was driven, like it just kept telling me that we needed to dance like together, you know, with like different kind of canons, but like nothing insane with like formation or anything, because sometimes like less is more.
Yeah.
And really trying to balance out what is too much and what is too little. The music, I think, is really important, yeah. And also just keeping in mind, like, what has the audience already seen? Because they don't need to keep seeing the same thing over and over. And also, like I want us to take up space. Like, we have all, like, a whole stage, and even if we're all out there, I think it's so important to, like, move past what you think your limitations are. And, you know, I do think that some people probably thought, well, like, oh, well, only like Nicole looks good doing this because this is her movement style. And like, I disagree. Like, I like as dancers, like we should be adaptable.
I agree.
And so I was trying to like think, like, what has a B fan audience like not seen? And like, we're all very capable of doing. So I think that drove me into it. I like the meshed line of like contemporary and classical, because I wouldn't say we do, you know, like Swan Lake classical at all. So it was interesting for me to watch everybody else like find their way with it, because I know what I was asking wasn't like the regular,
the normal thing that we will expect. Yeah. No, I like that. How did you find your well into choreography? Like, when did you knew that you like choreographing?
You know, this is actually like all pretty new to me.
Really?
You know, I've set pieces on like students back in Minnesota. I've never set something on a room full of professional dancers. So this was like big for me and like unexpected as well. But I think in the couple years that I was freelancing in the Twin Cities, I was working with, there were some summer projects with the companies Hatch Dance and Honeyworks. And there is like very contemporary. And so they would like set phrases on us, and then they would say like, you know, like make your own phrase with like some of these movements, or like give us a prompt or something. And that was the first time in a really long time that something was asked of like me creatively to share. And so I really think a lot of it started then, like a couple of years ago, I think in 2021.
Okay.
And then I kind of was like, what have I been doing? Like, I have all of this inside me that I haven't really tapped into, at least for a while, because I think when I was like 17 or something, I did the Alonzo King Lines Intensive.
Okay.
And that was the most out of my box I had felt. You know, I grew up so classical, and suddenly, and it was hard for me to pick things up because it was completely out of my comfort zone. But then I hung on to that as I like transitioned into my professional career. But yeah, I would definitely say getting the opportunity to make my own phrase work. I wasn't like, let me create this whole piece. It was like, let me make a few counts of 8 and run with it. And then it all came out this year.
I really like it. Again, I feel like you're super talented. You should keep going into it.
I would like to,
you have a great future in that.
Thank you.
Like, amazing.
Thank you.
You know, when you were saying a little bit about the Alonzo King's Lines, I said it wrong.
Oh, the Alonzo King Lines, yeah.
I had kind of like a similar experience because I come from like just ballet, nothing else.
Yeah.
And then in 2011, I did this summer program in Connecticut where it was all Albin Alien students. So for me to tap into like, and all these kids are amazing, like movers and everything. And
like
like
water. Yeah.
You know, like almost walking like a robot. I feel so out of water. Like
super out of your comfort zone. Yeah, when we were like placed in levels at that intensive, they didn't place us with like our advancedness. They placed us with like the other people who were doing the same thing to try and get us to stop doing the same thing. And so I was in the bunhead group. Like, these are the ballerinas.
These are the ballerinas.
Yeah. And I was
I
like,
feel you.
oh, like, I didn't think I was like, you know, but
Yeah.
I was.
I totally feel that. Do you find inspirations while you're painting for the choreography? Or have you been thinking about that? Like, have you been like, this painting that I'm doing, I don't know, this jellyfish is making me feel of like, I would love to see this movement in a dance?
Interesting question. I don't know I've ever thought about it like that. Sometimes, based off what music I'm listening to while I'm painting, that drives what I'm painting.
What are you painting?
Yeah, like the colors I'm like feeling from it or anything like that. But I don't think I've really tried to cross the paths of me feeling choreographic inspiration from something I'm also painting. Well, that's interesting. I'll think about that.
Okay, no. Just I thought, you know, sometimes a lot of time when, for example, I'm taking a photograph, I'm like, oh, this actually would be cool if I did it with the dancer or something like that, you know? So I'm like thinking always on like that dance side of it, even though it's something completely opposite.
I mean, I feel like I can relate in a way like that if like I'm trying to like mix mediums. I really love collage art.
Really?
Like Mod Podging, like cut and paste
Cut and
and
paste,
like
put everything together.
Yeah, that was a whole chapter for me a few years ago. And oh my gosh, I'm sorry, this keeps buzzing.
Can you see it in a dance? Like put it like a collage type of thing, you know, like random pieces out of nowhere to create a story?
It would have to be the music. The music would really have to be like so specifically chaotic for me to see that probably. Okay. You're making me think.
No, it's good. It's good. I mean, I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Like, why not? When you are dancing, I want to go back a little bit about like how you approach a movement. Like, how would you describe the way you move? Besides saying the jellyfish.
Describe the way I move. I've always been like an adagio dancer, and I have been like blessed with flexibility and like turnout, and like when all of those like mesh together, I'm like petite allegro is not the first thing for me to be like, yeah, I love it, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
And maybe that has to do with like me being like a taller dancer. Like moving fast can be hard for me. I'm expected to do it because, you know, I have to, and I wouldn't be like, I can't, because I can, but it's harder for me. And so I feel like my movement style does shift into like the slowy, gooey, leggy stuff. And maybe it's selfish to say, like, because I know I am good at it. So I feel like that does come into my choreography sometimes, or like my movement. But yeah, playing, I really like playing with like the fast and the slow, and also finding the moments of stillness has really, I think about that a lot, you know, because like as dancers, we're movers, but so much can be said when we find like the moments of stillness. Like it doesn't have to be go, 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 go. And so I think I'm the kind of dancer who really enjoys class because I get to play with all of this.
Really?
Yeah.
I hate class.
Really?
I hate it.
I could take class for the rest of my life and never be on stage again, and I'd be fine.
I'll be fine without taking class for the rest of my life.
I mean, like, okay, let me reframe. I hate taking class when it's like before a show. I'm like, yeah, let's get to the part where we're in costume, because like this is such a mental game. But yeah, like during the season, it's so fun.
I hate class. If I would be okay without taking class, I wouldn't take class.
But see, I like it, I think, because I treat it like a project.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's where I think I enjoy it. Because like class is where you get to mess up and like try things. So I love when we repeat things a couple times
Really?
because
To me, it's the opposite. I feel like where I try things is where I'm actually dancing, like when I'm doing it.
Okay.
Like when I'm in the rehearsals. I feel like that's my moment to like mess it up or change the
totally.
thing. So like,
I totally know what you're saying because I also love the rehearsal process more than the performing process as well. It's not like I dislike it, but
that's interesting.
you know, I think we can all relate when you don't have a bunch of people staring at you. You do so much better.
Yes, yeah.
Like we can be on it day after day after day, and then suddenly you're in a different environment with people in front of you, and then it's not happening.
It doesn't go as well.
Yeah, it's just nerves, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so hard to, you know, as a dancer, because sometimes when nobody's watching you, you're like, I did this so good. I wish somebody watched me.
I know.
And then when you do it, you're like, fuck.
Yeah. Or like, I mean, I'm not a turner, but when I get a good turn, the first thing I do is, who saw that? Who saw that? Because it's not happening again.
You know, before you were saying something a little bit like you were in the taller side. How have you dealt with that? Because you know there is a lot of girls that are very tall, and there is not enough men that are tall enough.
Yeah, it has been really annoying for like pretty much my entire life. I remember being told, you don't get to be Clara this year in the Nutcracker because you're just like too tall.
Really?
And I was like, okay, you know, it's just like heartbreaking. And I mean, that was being tall is not heartbreaking. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think you mean like.
I think. Yeah. I do think sometimes like opportunities are cut for me because of my height. Because like you said, like a lot of roles are cast based off the men they have to partner you. And so I've had a lot of experience with like not getting to do a lot of that because of my height. But I also think like it's 2023. I don't think it's terrible to be taller than your partner on a point. Like, I'm strong, and if my partner is strong, like, what's the problem?
It's gonna work.
I would understand if they were trying to cast, like, example again, like the Nutcracker. If they were trying to cast someone who looked like they were supposed to be the age of 12, I would understand why they wouldn't choose me, you know? But for things that, like, don't necessarily have to do with an age, I don't think it should be a huge obstacle. But it has gotten in the way, and I have been told, like, in my life, like, things are going to be hard for you because you are taller. And I try not to get in my head about it. I think I joke about it a lot because I think it does bother me. But I need to stop doing that because...
I mean, it's fair.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes I think it's easier when you don't feel like you are good enough to be like, okay, I'm not there. But when you are good enough and you've taken that opportunity away just because of something that you don't control,
exactly,
it's a little bit too hard.
It is hard.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and going into these hard things, injuries. How does injuries happen in your life?
How do they not happen?
I know. We have talked a little bit about this before.
Yeah.
Because you have surgeries, I have surgeries.
Yeah. So I guess, like, more specifically, what's your question? Like, how have I navigated, or like, what have I gone through?
How have you navigated through injuries? And what has been like the hardest part about it?
I think the hardest part about an injury is actually like the mental aspect to it. You know, when you get hurt, the first thing you're concerned about is like the physical, because it's like, what can I do? What can I not do? And like everyone around you has the same question.
Yes.
But then you go home and immediately you are just like swallowed in like shame almost, because it's like, why did this have to happen? But it is super unrealistic with what we do. It's so unrealistic to think that that's just not going to happen.
That's not gonna happen.
You might have a really good streak, you know, and go a really long time, but for most dancers, you know, it's now and then it happens. And so the way I feel like I've navigated it has really evolved over the years. I think the most significant injury I had was just like a freak accident fall in like 2019. I like totally ate it and like tore a ligament, and I had to get my osteogonum bone removed, which is like really common, but like repairing the ligament was like, and that's hard to do as a dancer because, you know, we're not the average person. You can't just like slap it back together like you. And I was really lucky to have a great surgeon who had worked with dancers, but like coming back from that, like you think it's gonna happen faster, and it doesn't. And you know, like you've had surgery, and so it's like you need an insane amount of patience and like grace for yourself.
So much.
Yeah. And I remember being really stressed because this happened like right when COVID hit. I had surgery like the day the world shut down.
Oh, really?
It was like it was like a TV show. I like went into surgery with like being like, yeah, whatever. And I came out and it's like, everything's closed. We have to go home. And I was like, well, I wasn't going to go anywhere anyway, but what?
That's crazy. But it's also a blessing, you know, because you can recover.
Yes. Okay. But then here's where I was like always feeling stressed because at that time I had also like chosen to like part ways with the company I was dancing with. So it's like, okay, I just had surgery. I have no job. The world is shut down. And now I have to learn how to like walk and do a plie in my living room. And it was terrifying. Yeah. And so while I knew I wasn't missing out on anything, I was so scared that I wasn't going to have the willpower to push through it and like end up on stage again someday.
Yeah. Well, you did.
I know I did. It's really funny that, but I knew I wanted it, you know. So that was really hard. I think the patience aspect for that one was like horrific. Like I would get so frustrated that I wasn't ready. But also I didn't have a floor. I didn't have a mirror. You know, what could I have done? I was doing my best, and I did my best.
That's good. You know, now that you talk about mirrors, and this is called Beyond the Mirror, but I think dancers will be better if they didn't have mirrors.
You think so?
Yes.
Have you ever taken a Gaga class?
No.
Do you know what a Gaga class is? Okay.
I think I saw the documentary. I think there was a documentary on Netflix, and I think they don't have mirrors in their studios.
Yeah, that's why I like want to talk about it, because like it's like curtains over the mirrors. Like you're not allowed to film it. Like you're not allowed to like check your phone.
I feel like filming is okay, but I feel like the mirror is no.
I need to look into the rules of Gaga. I know for sure. Yeah, mirrors are a big no. It's this kind of like almost like sacred like moment where like you just don't need to you don't need to do that. I was lucky in the Twin Cities, like Gaga class was offered like as warm up before some of our rehearsals.
I have never taken a class of Gaga. It
feels good to not look at yourself.
I try not to. Like for me, it's like the mirror is not there because first you don't perform with a mirror. Yeah. So like you're never gonna see yourself.
Totally.
And I feel like it distracts you and it puts you in a weird mental place because if something goes wrong and you see it, you are like, I'm a horrible dancer. Or you see like I don't know, it can happen. Like you lift your leg and your hip is up or something. You're like, I look so horrible. Yeah. And you know, I feel like, and then you are not really understanding how you move your body.
It's about feeling it.
It's about feeling your body. And if you feel how you're doing it, then you're going to do it correctly and you're going to remember what you did. Yeah. But when you are staring and staring, I feel like, I don't know, that's how I feel.
No, I love that. I think when I'm taking class, I find myself during bar looking at myself more because I am trying to like check my technique now and then. But like, you're kind of right. Like, do I really need to be like,
no, you know if you're doing it right or wrong.
You know. And then like come center though, I try really hard to look like out instead of at myself, you know. Yeah. You want to feel it. You want to be ready for stage.
Yeah. And it's okay. For example, this is what I mean, like with the video. I think the video is okay. For example, like when you record your variation or something.
Helpful.
I feel like that's helpful because there is things that a teacher or somebody is not going to see that you feel.
Yes.
So when you're recording, you're like, oh, I know why that didn't work because I was not engaging, I don't know, my shoulder blade or something. You know?
Man, watching yourself
it's trippy.
Brutal.
Yes. Now imagine, for example, when I edit this podcast. Yeah. I hate it. Yeah. Because I hear my voice and I'm like, this is how I sound.
Okay. Do you leave like voice notes like on your phone? Okay.
No, never.
my like best friend got me into voice notes, like, because I was like, even a year ago I wasn't leaving voice notes. Now I leave them all the time. Sometimes I even play it back to hear myself, just to like be like, Nicole, you're not insane, like this is just you. And so when you asked me to do this, I was like, if I can leave voice notes, I can talk into a microphone.
Yes. No, you can totally can. But that's why do you do the voice notes?
You just like send them to your friends. It's like, instead of having like a whole phone call, if you like have a whole story to tell that you don't want to text, it's so easy to just like talk into your phone and then
yes. No, I don't do them.
You know what I don't do? No. I don't talk to Siri.
Oh,
I'm not like
me neither.
I hate that. I'm like, don't listen to me.
Yeah. But you know who does? My family loves the voice notes.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a full group.
The family chat.
Oh, but it's just like voice notes. So sometimes you don't even know what they're talking about. You just have to listen. And sometimes like a 3-minute thing. It's like, how can you talk for 3 minutes
like
straight?
5 of them. Are you, no, I would get along with your family fine.
No, it's like, come on. Like, I cannot get this. I just leave it. I barely say anything.
I can't send voice notes to my family group chat because Renee, my older sister, has an Android and you can't do that. Renee, get an iPhone.
or use WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Because in WhatsApp you can do it no matter what.
Okay, I haven't used that.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like we really got it off. But that's okay. I wanted to, let's just finish.
Yeah.
We can always come back.
Okay.
If people, this is what I forgot to say. Please don't forget to review and rate us and comment. If you have any questions for the dancer, or you have something that you really want to say, or that you want to know the question about it, the answer, please leave us a comment. How would you inspire somebody? This is the question I do to everybody at the end of the podcast. It's like, how will you inspire somebody to pursue art? Not necessarily ballet, but if dance is what you want them to pursue, but how would you inspire somebody to take that step of faith or leap of faith?
I would say don't let anyone limit you. Like, if you want something, go get it. Like, stop comparing yourself to other people. Do what you think is going to be best. Pretty much that.
Simple but effective.
Simple but effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like no one goes home and like thinks about you the way you think about yourself.
Yes.
I feel like you've told me that before. You're like, it's fine. But I think, in a day and age where we see everything on social media, it's really easy to second guess what you are contributing in any way, whether it's online or not, because you see what other people are doing all the time. So just run with it. Like, no fear. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Hopefully we do this again.
Yeah, I'd love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Thanks for listening to Beyond the Mirror. If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit follow or subscribe so you can stay up to date on new episodes. Until next time.